From my end, I'm good.
Okay, so what's the agenda for the today's class? Agenda for the today's class is to understand pipeline, data set, activity, how many types of activities are there. Generally, we will understand general idea about the pipeline, data set, and activity, right? That is what we'll understand today. So let's initiate it. So till now, what we have done. Now suppose if I have a source over here, source A, and I'm aware about source B. Source A and source B, I'm aware about both of it. So what I can use, I can use data factory, Azure data factory. I can use Azure data factory to move the data from source A to source B. At least I can make a connection. Okay, so I cannot move the data, but I can make a connection. I know the process to connect source A with Azure Data Factory and to connect source B with Azure Data Factory. At least I can do that, right? That I know. Now, today we will understand how we can copy the data and what are the process we need to follow to copy the data from source A to source B. That we will understand today. Okay. So, and also in the link service, we have mentioned the what kind of a source you are dealing with, right? That you mentioned in the link service. But you still haven't mentioned what data points you want to move. Okay, you mentioned the address, but you haven't mentioned the data. So data factory knows that it needs to go to source A, but you haven't till now mentioned that which data here data factory needs to pick in, right? That we haven't mentioned. So we will understand how to mention that and how to pick the data, that we will understand. So whenever you are building a pipeline in data factory, there are like in data factory, there are three main pillars. What are those? Pipeline, data set, and activities. Okay, pipeline, data set, and activity. What is pipeline? Whenever you want to fulfill a purpose. So purpose is, suppose if the purpose is right now to move the data from sources to source B, that is the overall purpose. You might be interested to move the data from source B to source C as well, right? So now the purpose becomes you want to move the data from source A to source B and source B to source C, right? That is the overall purpose of the pipeline, to move the data from source A to source B via source B, right? That is the overall purpose of the pipeline. So pipeline is generally what you want to achieve overall, right? That is pipeline. What is activity? What sort of uh, like a small transformation or activity you want to do to achieve overall purpose, right? So suppose I want to paste two copy data activity to solve this purpose of moving the data from source A to source B and then source B to source C. Okay, so pipeline, activity, and then data set. What is data set? Data set is reference point of what data you want to move. Okay, So suppose here you just mentioned in the link service that which data source you want to reach, but you haven't mentioned what data to pick in, right? So that is what you will mention in the data set. So data set is a reference point of where your data is located. Pipeline is overall purpose. Activities are what sort of a small transformation you want to do. That is activities, okay? Now there are three kinds of activity mainly in data factory. What are those? Dataset, pipeline, and activity, right? Pipeline is a logical grouping of activity performs a task. Activity defines the task. Dataset is reference point where the data is located. Okay. Now, activity, there are three types of activity: data movement activity, data transformation activity, and control flow activity. These are the three activities present in data factory. Okay. Pipeline, dataset activity. So when I talk about like there are three kinds of activity: data movement activity, data transformation activity, and control flow activity. What is data movement activity? Data movement activity is just a copy data activity, right? Nothing else beside that, which helps you to move the data from one place to another. Copy data activity. Okay. Now when you are using a copy data activity, you cannot move the data from any kind of a source to any kind of a sink. That is not possible. Okay. So you can only move the data from point A to point B, what is given to you. Okay. So suppose if you want to move the data from MySQL as a source, you can select MySQL as a source, and then you can select sink. You cannot, like, suppose from MySQL to data lake is possible. Okay, data lake is possible. You can do from MySQL to data lake. But if you say that, Abhishek, I want to move the data from data lake to MySQL, data lake to MySQL. Okay, data lake to MySQL is not possible. MySQL to data lake is possible, but data lake to MySQL is not possible. Sync as a MySQL is not possible. Okay. So here, if I go and if I search MySQL, here you are able to see source as MySQL is possible, sync is not possible. Okay, here also you can see it. So all sort of movement is not possible, and then Azure is actually kind of improving it going forward, right? And why they are not giving MySQL as a sync? Because MySQL is not being used as like a sync for many of the company, right? So they probably they are not giving that option, right? Now if you search for SQL Server, MS, or SQL Server, so Azure SQL Server is basically possible as source and also as sync, right? So yeah, so it's dependent on Microsoft, what sort of connectors are there, and accordingly you can move the data from one point to another, right? That you can do. And also, if you notice, if you go to Azure Data Lake, here you see it is present as source, it's present as sync as well, right? Now, if I open this, supported by Azure IR, Azure Integration Runtime, supported by self-hosted integration runtime, right? So this particular Azure storage storage account is supported by self-hosted integration runtime and also supported by Azure default integration runtime. Now, yesterday not yesterday, on Friday we learned that Azure data lake storage is basically a cloud storage, and for that we will use a default integration runtime. But when you create a link service, Azure self-hosted integration is runtime is also possible. When, like, anyways, you can use a self-hosted integration runtime as well, and then connect Azure data lake storage by self-hosted integration runtime as well. That is possible. But generally we use a default integration runtime. Why they have given a capability of this? Because sometimes this particular data lake is there in a particular virtual network, just to secure it in a better way. That is why this option is enabled, so that our integration runtime is installed in that virtual network and then we can use it. Okay, so you can try connecting this data lake storage by self-hosted integration runtime as well, and it will be like, what you can do, you can go here, you can search data lake, and then here you install a self-hosted integration runtime, you select this and then you connect, it will work. But generally we don't do it. It's given option whenever a data lake storage is there in the virtual network, then it's this particular option is enabled, right? But generally we don't use it. That is about copy data activity. Okay, now we have a data transformation activity. What is data transformation activity? You have a stored procedure activity, you have a data flow activity, any activity which helps you to transform the data, that is data transformation activity. Okay, what is control flow activity? Any activity which helps you to perform any sort of logical operation, like a lookup activity or a for each activity, right? That is control flow activity. So it's a very common interview question. What is control flow activity? So any sort of logical operation, if you are performing, that is control flow activity. Okay, so there are three kinds of activity: data movement, data transformation, and control flow activity. What are the different elements of data factory? Pipeline, data set, and activity, right? And there are three kinds of activity which we have seen. Any doubt on this, guys, till now, whatever we have seen? Okay. If there is no doubt, I will try to do a very simple operation. Currently, I will try to copy the data from this input container to this output container. I am choosing my source and sink as same data lake, right? But you can do same sort of operation once you have a link service of MS SQL. You can try to copy the data from MS SQL to data lake as well. That also you can try. And I suggest you to try that. Okay. I am doing from data lake to data lake right now. Okay. And we will understand the copy data activity through that. Okay, just to copy the data from source to sink. So I will choose data lake, choose CSV file, choose link service. Now if you see, I choose the link service. Now here I am selecting my data set, right? That is my data which I want to move. I'm selecting that now, and I'm creating a data set. So source data set this, right? I created a data set. Now, if I go to sync, I will go and then select where I want to move my data. So I want to move the data in the output folder. So if you see, I made one pipeline and I made two data set, one for the source and one for the sink. Okay. So one pipeline. Now, if you see, what are the elements? One pipeline, one activity, two data set. Okay. Pipeline is there to perform my overall operation, which is copying the file from input to output. Activity which I have used is copy data activity. Why? Because I want to do the copy. And I created two data set. Why two data set? One for the source, because I need to reach to the source and tell which file I want to pick. And one for the sink to understand where I want to send the file. Okay. So whenever you are transferring your luggage from one point to another, you need to mention the address and specifically mention the particular flat number or particular place or particular person you want to go and to get that luggage, right? So just imagine in that manner. So here we mentioned what is my source, and suppose this is the pipeline, right? And if I go to source, if I open this, then this is my data set. Okay. And if I go to sync, if I open this, this is my sync data set. So one pipeline, two data set, and one activity. Okay. And all the development which I am doing right now, you can see in the this here circle. There are three elements: one pipeline, two data set, one activity. Okay. Now I can debug this to run it. Okay, so we completed the pipeline in which we moved the data from source to sync container, from input to output container using copy data activity. Okay, and using the pipeline one, we have done it, right? Okay, then now if you want to move the data from MS SQL Server, right? So your source will change. What you will do, you will go here, you will select SQL here, SQL. Okay, you will select this and then you will select the link survey which you have made, right? So suppose I will select Azure SQL and then show you how it looks to you. Then you'll select your SQL Server and then you'll select the table name which you want to move, right? So you will select the table name and click OK, and then you will go to the sync, right? So this is how you will do. But I have done it for data lake. Now we will understand the copy data activity in a detailed fashion. Why? Because this is very, very important activity. So we'll understand each and every part of it in a detailed fashion. Okay. Any doubt till here, guys? Whatever I have done, any doubt on this? Okay. So source and sink is defined. Now what I can do, I can rename my pipeline from here, right? I can click and then rename the pipeline from here. I can also rename my pipeline from here. Okay. Now I can rename my copy data activity from here, like copy data lake or something, right? That you can do. And also, if you suppose if I have multiple activities here and I want to deactivate a particular activity, I can right click on it and deactivate. I can also go here and then deactivate. Okay, that also I can do. I can set a timeout error. Suppose I see that this particular activity is getting completed in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? So I can set a timeout error. Suppose I see that this activity generally takes 10 minutes to complete. So I can set this timeout error as 20 minutes so that if any day, any given day, if this activity takes around 1 hour, then it should give a timeout error so that it's not stuck somewhere, right? So by default, it's 12 hours, but you can change it. Okay. And also you can do the retry, like if it is stuck, then how many times it, suppose your pipeline got failed with a timeout error, then how many times it needs to retry and in which interval it needs to retry, right? That you can give here. Okay. Then you can define your source and sink settings. So source and sink setting. Now all of this which is present here is copy data activity setting. Okay, all of this which is present here is copy data activity. All of this which is present here is copy data setting. All of this are copy data activity setting. If I click over here in the white space, all of this are pipeline setting. Okay. If I click over here, all of these are copy data activity setting. Okay. Now, if I open this, this is data set setting. This is data set setting. Okay. So if you are changing here, you are not changing data set, right? If you want to change data set, you will come here. What is data set? Data set is a reference point of your data is located. So if you want to change anything related to data, that which data you want to pick in, what should be the column delimiter, what should be the row delimiter, what should be the encoding, all the things you need to change in the data set. Okay, it is not dependent on your copy data activity setting. Okay, so all the changes you will do here, it depends on the copy data. All the changes you do here is depends on the copy data. Okay, now suppose I have a very simple requirement that when I am moving the file, I don't want to copy all the columns. I want to copy specifically one column or two column, right? How to achieve that? So I can go to the mapping feature, I can import the schema and I can delete the column, right? So suppose I don't want to copy department ID, so I can delete it and I can run debug. It will only copy one file in this case instead of copy. It will copy only one column instead of copying both of the columns. Done. Now let's see the data set where our copy is there. Output folder department.csv. You can see only one column, right? So it copied only one column instead of copying both of the column. Okay. Now suppose I want to interchange the column, how I am copying it. Okay. So instead of suppose I have a very big file. For example, I will give you an example. Now I want to copy employed or employee file. So if I go here, if I go to input, okay, I don't want this particular employee ID, first name, last name. So what I want to do, suppose I want to change the order. I want um, the joining date to be the first column. For example, I want to interchange the column, right? So what you can do, you can go to the mapping feature, you can import the schema, and then you can say that I want joining date as first column, for example. And here I can select employee ID. And then you can run it. So what it will do, it will interchange your column. So mapping feature can be used to delete the column and also interchange the column. Now if I go to folder, if I refresh this, so it is my input container, right? So in the input container, employee ID is still the first column, right? So if you want to so we changed it, change the order in the output container. So if I go here, if I go to output, if I see this file, date of joining is first column now, right? So this is how you can interchange the column of the file. Any doubt on the mapping feature, guys, what we have done? Okay, so this is how you can use the mapping feature, and also the mapping feature can be used for the date time conversion, right? So date time conversion can be also done in the mapping feature, right? Now let's go to the source. Now, one more thing I want to highlight here. So if you want to save your work in Data Factory, you always need to publish it. Okay. So suppose my work is completed here, and what I want to do, I want to save my work. So if I refresh this completely, right, or if I close the tab, my work won't be saved. Okay, so if I want to save my work, then I have to publish it always. Okay, so yeah, if I just refresh it now, everything will be gone. Okay, so if I want to save my work, I need to publish it. So I'm publishing it right now. And also before publish, what you can do, you can validate to see all the settings are proper or not, right? So if you don't do any setting properly, it will give you the error. Okay, so validate to see whether all the settings are fine and then publish. Okay, so now suppose what I want to do, this is the work I have come. Now suppose if I just copy and paste this, right? I copy pasted it and then I attach this, right? So this is the new development which I have done, but I forgot to publish it. I just close the window, for example. Now, if I open my data factory again, my work won't be there because I haven't published it. Now, if I go here, now you don't see that particular piece, right, which I have added because I haven't published my pipeline. Okay. Now, yeah, so source and sink mapping feature we have seen already. Now, let's see the source properties, few more source properties. So, let's talk about this, right? So currently, if you see in the source and sink, we have a same kind of a data lake, right? In the source and sink, we both have data lake, but the settings are different. So the settings of source and sink depends, like if you use the same source, which is data lake, and when you choose it as a source and when you choose it as sink, then your setting will differ. And also if you change your source to SQL, your setting will differ, right? So it depends on which kind of a source and which kind of a sink you're choosing, and accordingly your source and sink setting will come. Okay. Now, suppose if I go to source, right? And now I have a requirement that what I want to do, I want to basically move all the file which starts with department. Okay. Now from the folder, I I want to move all the file which starts with department. So currently I'm copying only one file, right? Department.csv. I don't want to do that. I want to copy all the three file which starts with department. Or I want to move all the file which ends with a particular uh, suffix, right, which is CSV. So how to do that? Either a particular file which starts with some name, like if I want to copy all the file which starts with source A, for example, or I want to copy all the file starts with department, or I want to copy all the file which ends with particular suffix, right? How to do that? You can do it by using wildcard. So you can give wildcard as folder, and then you can give wildcard as department star. Okay. And here this is not required anyways. This you can remove because you're not copying one particular file, you're copying all the file. And in the sync as well, you don't need to give one file name because you're copying multiple file. And then you can validate to see all the settings are fine or not. And then you can make a copy. Yeah, so here they are saying that we have defined some mapping, right? So I'm removing this setting because this mapping feature are no longer valid because we changed the file. We want to copy department file now. Okay, succeeded. Now if I go to input, if I go to output folder, all the file came right with department, and employee also came. Why? Because it was previously present, right? That is why it came. But this is how you can move the file having it starts with department. Now, suppose if you turn on this recursive feature, right? If you turn on this recursive feature, what it will do, it will copy your subsequent folder as well. So suppose it will go to the folder and then it will copy from this, and also wherever the department file is present, it will copy from that folder as well. If I open this, right, here also department file is present, right? Now if I go to folder 2, there is nothing over here, right? If I go to output.csv, here also we have nothing. So that is why if you go to output folder, if you open this, then folder 1 got copied, and with the department.csv file, yeah, with the department.csv file. So whenever you turn on this option, it will copy the subsequent folder as well, wherever this file is present. Okay, it will copy all the folder. And also here you can give star.csv to see. It will copy all the file which starts with star.csv, like which ends with csv. That also you can try. So let me delete everything from here. Okay, so it got copied. Now here I can go to the output folder. I can refresh this folder, and then all the file with only, you will see only CSV files. See, all the CSV files are there, right? So if you try to open it in the another window, so here if I go, here many files are present, right? Without CSV. We have a txt, we have a JSON, nothing got copied, only CSV file got copied. And also if I open folder 1, folder 2, folder 3, this folder 3 is empty, but folder 1, folder 2 is present. So if I go here, Then if I open folder 1, it got copied, folder 2 got copied, but folder 3 haven't got copied because it is empty, right? So the folder structure won't be get copied and it will copy all the folder by folder, everything, right? Is it clear for everyone? Any doubt? So guys, please respond. Nobody is saying something. So how I will understand whether you're getting something or you don't getting something, everything is clear or something doubt. Please acknowledge yes, no, nothing, everything is clear. If you acknowledge something, then only the class will be interactive, right? So please ask doubt, acknowledge, say something so that I also feel I am just feeling that I'm just saying something and like please acknowledge whether it's clear for you or not. Yes, no, or at least type in the chat if you're not able to say something. Is it clear
Yeah,
for
yeah, it's
everyone?
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Akshay.
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's just like I just spoken for 1 hour and then I gone, right? So please make this session interactive so that I at least understand whether you're getting something or not, right? Is it clear for everyone? Yes.
Yes, 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 Akshay.
Okay, okay. So please going forward, please acknowledge so that I can understand whether it's fine for everyone. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is how you can do the wildcard thing.
And Abhishek, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, when you're running the job for multiple times, so it creates the same file again and again, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, can we like replace the existing file? Do we have an option here in the settings to
So
replace
whenever
the
you copy the
existing?
file in data lake, it actually overwrite the file.
Okay,
Always overwrite the
okay,
file, but you can alter that. You can stop overwriting the file and generate a new file by using some sort of date column and those kind of a thing. I will teach you going forward how you can do that. But it is generally overwriting the file right now. Okay.
okay. If in case of table, we can use a truncate and load as well, right?
Yeah, so that will come when we will study SQL, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
that will come on that. Okay. Okay, guys. So this is how you can do the wildcard and recursive. So if you want to do a list of file, what is list of files? So suppose if you have a requirement, then to basically not copy all the file, but you have set of file which you want to copy, department, employee data. These are the two files which you want to copy. So what you can do for that, you can make a list. Department, and employee. Okay, I have loaded that list of file in the in my data lake. I can browse that list of file. I select that list of file and then in the sync, I will just make a folder, a list of file folder, so that we can basically segregate it, right? So I will debug it. So here, if I go to source, something is wrong. Path employee.cc. Yeah, the problem is our file is located in the input and then folder, right? Our files are placed in the input container and then folder as directory. But here we need to mention this particular folder, otherwise it will search all those files in the input container itself, which is not present. So it is basically searching over here, and employee file and all those files are not present here, right? So that is why it's giving the errors. So let's debug it now. So here list of file, and all both of the files are present, right? So this is how you can use a list of file. So what are the options we have seen? We have seen wildcard, we have seen list of file, we have seen recursive, we have seen mapping, and the last one is user property. Okay, so how to use user property? I will just publish this pipeline now. Okay, this is published. Now suppose what is user property? So suppose if this is the pipeline which I have made, I published it. Now this pipeline is stable. Okay, now I want to trigger the pipeline. So I can set this particular pipeline, a particular trigger at this point, at this time I want to trigger it. But suppose I want to trigger the pipeline now. Okay, so this particular pipeline got triggered. So if I go to triggered option, if I open this, then this pipeline got triggered, but it doesn't have any user property. Now suppose if I want to understand what is my source, so I need to open this pipeline. I need to click over here. I need to go to source and I need to open this. Then I will be able to understand what is my setting. Okay. Instead of doing that, what I want to do, I want to set some user property which will help me to debug the pipeline. So I can do source and sync destination. I can also, so it's just for you for better understanding, developed by Abhishek. You can write like whatever you want for the better understanding. It's just like a notes for you, right? Project API dashboarding. Okay, and then you can publish it. And then you can trigger now again. So if I open this pipeline, if I go to user prop, let's see the properties. Let me rerun it, or probably it run before I publish. So let me rerun it. Yeah, so you can see the user property now, right? So this is how you can see the user property. Now, so all of this you guys need to practice. What are the things you need to practice is uh, try to connect data lake storage using self-hosted integration runtime, just for your understanding, okay? But generally in the interview, will always say that data lake will be, we need to use the default integration runtime to connect with any of the cloud storage. Now, use copy data activity and try timeout error. Then copy data activity, mapping feature, delete column and interchange the column. Okay, then then try user property, then try wildcard with department star and star.csv. Okay, it's case sensitive. Okay, so when your file is there in the department, small department, then use that, otherwise. And then use list of file and do it with prefix, sorry, with recursive and without recursive. Okay, and other than that, you can try few more things, which is like if I want to add additional column, right? So you can use this particular option to add additional column with mapping feature. Okay, so try this option. Add additional column. Okay, and suppose if you want to move the file, yeah, if you want to move the file based on the last modified date. So suppose here I have I have many files having different dates, right? So if I want to move the file using last modified date, then how you can do it? And one catch is here your time should be there in the UTC, but this is my German time zone. So here you need to give your time zone, which is like US time zone or Indian time zone, right? That you need to give here. So try last modified option. And also what you need to try is prefix. So suppose here if I choose blob storage, for example, so instead of data lake I choose blob storage. So one more option will come, prefix, which is similar to department star, which we tried in the wildcard. Okay, similar to department star. So in data lake Gen 2, they combine both of them, prefix and suffix, right? So ideally, prefix is similar to department star, suffix is similar to star.csv, but they combine both of the option in wildcard. Okay, so try prefix in blob storage as well. Try prefix in blob storage. Try out all of this, guys, and then we will meet on Thursday again. See you then. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.
Thank you.
And Caroline, if you want,
Bye,
you can
thank you.
share the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. So I'm just wondering, Abhishek, is it possible to just send it to a different account? Because my Outlook, last night I accessed it. I just don't know what happened. I didn't even get my code on my phone right
So
now.
yeah, I can send you
So
to a
weird.
different email ID. Like you send your email ID, new email ID, and then I will update it. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I'll send it. Also on my factory, on my portal, like my resource, the one that I created is gone. I don't know. Is it possible that, you know, when I shared my account, is it possible that it was
No, no,
replaced, modified because
no, it cannot happen.
it's gone.
It
Because you
cannot
were able
happen.
to see it. Yeah, because you were able to see it, right? You saw it when you shared my screen. It was all there.
Can you share your
And
screen
then,
again?
yeah, let me share my screen. So this is the resource group. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
I mean, KPI dashboarding. I did not create that. So I don't know why I have it here. So
Yeah,
this one's,
so see, you are sharing the resources, you are sharing the account with everyone. So if someone else is creating the resource, right, you will see that.
right,
But
right.
you will be able to see your resources as well at the same time.
I see. So am I just is it because I'm in a different view?
No,
Am I
so
looking at his view? That's why I
which
couldn't see mine.
no, which particular resource you have created? Can you tell me?
Well, a lot of them, RG1 and then RG blob, RG the Gen 2, like my storage account. They used to be all in one
Can you give
area
me the
here.
control one?
Okay.
Not sure where it gone.
Yeah, and last night I saw them, but it was just giving me an error. And then this morning they're totally deleted. So does that mean they have access to my resources that they can do whatever they want? There's no
Mm. You can change the access as well. So suppose in the
Well, I tried changing the access for external, but I don't think I don't know if it worked.
I'm not very sure they can delete the resource. That I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it was there. I mean, I wouldn't delete it.
Yeah. So yeah. So suppose like ideally what you can do right now is either you stop, like suppose they will not delete it ideally, right? But by mistake, if someone got deleted, someone deleted that, you can
Right.
recreate it for now. But if it happens again, you can remove it. The all the people, you can just keep your subscription by to yourself. That's not a problem, anyways.
I see. Now,
If you want to do
how-
it now, then also it's
Yeah.
okay, right? So it's your
Right.
preference, anyways.
Right, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah.
So if you want, if you feel that you don't want to share the subscription,
Mhm.
then you can go to subscription and then remove the user from there directly. That also you can do.
Okay.
And if you want to
Okay.
give it a try, you can still keep using it. And if it is deleted in future again, like yeah, you can remove it after that.
Okay.
It's your
Yeah.
choice, anyways. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. I just
Okay.
wanted to
Just send me your email ID. I will give
the access. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Okay. See you then. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thanks.